afternoon. We will begin with the call to order and class.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any corrections in the minutes?
You're gonna have to speak up. I know.
Okay. Is there any comments?
No, I know.
Second. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of April? Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. And a motion to approve the minutes from May 22nd. Okay. I'll second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you. I'd like to point out that those of you here that we are on a basic quorum. If one of us is not able to be convinced to pass something or has a hold in their mind about it, it would either be a turn down of your application, or you can, if you feel that you're going out on a long leash, you can ask for an adjournment when there's more of us here. All right, gives you a better chance at getting a quorum and a positive answer to your application. So at any point, if you think that you're at a stretch, you can ask to be adjourned until next month, when some people who are traveling will be back and we'll have a better representative count. With that spoken upon, John is our attorney today, and we will start with revisiting the application at One Potato Road. Sorry.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman White and members of the board. Nice to see you again. I'm Lori Basso, I'm a partner at BMA Architects in Bridgehampton, and I'm here representing our clients, the owners of One Potato LLC. Just a quick refresher, I know you're familiar with this application. It's a 38,175 square foot lot at the corner of Potato Road, with existing homes to the east and west. It's an oceanfront parcel within FEMA flood zone AE 17. And we were granted ZBA approval to lift the house 5.5 feet to conform with FEMA regulations. We're also adding a modest amount of living space at the northeast side away from the ocean. And no variance was required for the square footage of the addition. So today I'd like to focus our conversation on the changes that we've made since our last submission. And if you could turn to page 9 in that submission. And that's A202 in your packet. So what we have done is at the west side of the south elevation, so this is the view of the south elevation facing the water, which has been the focus of most of the conversations at previous hearings. We've added solid wall at the second floor on the existing screen and porch. So you can see that's that vertical hatch on the left-hand side in this view. And down below, that's also screened. So the vertical screening continues down, solid wall on the second floor. On the first floor, it becomes 50% screening for the bedroom that's down there. And I know the focus has really been on the second floor, but architecturally it made sense to continue that gesture again. The other big move that we made since our last submission was to raise the curb on the guardrail at the second floor. So that is 18 inches above the deck height. And what that does is really help to occlude the glass, particularly from the ocean side. And if you could actually flip ahead to page 28. We have a site section that helps to illustrate how that additional curb is blocking glass.
What is that made of?
The curb is made of wood, so it feels like a continuation of the wall cladding on the exterior. It becomes integral to the architecture. And just as a reminder, the top of window height now with the elevated structure is only 1 foot 11 inches higher than where it currently is in elevation.
So that is the change of,
That's,
from the last.
one second, let me pull that up. It's noted on the glass diagrams at the back. Overall, we started at 57% leasing at the south elevation. We're down to 33% now. I think it was maybe, I want to say 37. I don't have the presentation in front of me.
Down to about 33%.
Correct.
I'm asking about the height of the structure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was coming down also. right?
So the height did not change from our last submission. We're holding the height at the same height as the existing west wing.
Thank you.
And we did go from, if you don't mind flipping to page 30. This is just a look at the second floor. So in the existing condition, we have 382 square feet of glazing. In the revised, we have 268 square feet. So I think the overall impact is substantially reduced.
Well, according to these numbers on page 34, it's been reduced from 39% to 33%.
Since the last submission.
Yes.
Correct, yes,
Yes.
yes. But I think, my point is that the overall trajectory of this project has been very
Yes.
substantial in making efforts to reduce the glass.
Yes, that's certainly.
And again, we made efforts, particularly where we have neighbors, to make sure that we're sensitive to neighbors and to light on the north, east, and west. I also have a sample of a sunburned 60 to 27 glass. I know we discussed at the last meeting.
Yes. Could you explain what the glass is able to filter?
It blocks visible light from by 67%.
In the evening, like exterior visibility. is 67%.
Correct.
Okay.
We can flip through would it be helpful to see the renderings on screen?
Oh, yes, that's good.
Let's start on page
What did you
21.
say last week? I didn't get the percentages.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the percentage? 67, is that?
For the visible light
67?
transmission, correct.
Thank you.
So this is the updated rendering of the view from the beach at night. You can see the additional solid panel on the left-hand side there. For more context.
Wasn't there discussion about maybe making the ceiling of the interior? I know it's not our purview, but not to have it bright white as it shows here.
It didn't seem like that got much traction at during our last conversation. We would be open to that.
It didn't get traction on your end, or it didn't get traction from?
I didn't think that there was a lot of interest. I think the ceiling of the screen and porch can definitely be wood, so that it feels like part of the exterior.
Well, it shows, as you can see, quite a bit less glaring if it's wood, but maybe that doesn't work in the main living area.
I think the major consideration is, from the code standpoint, what we look for in terms of light pollution or reducing light pollution is just that no light will be spilled out onto a traveled public roadway or onto neighboring properties. So it looks like we're pretty far off of a roadway. Really, our only consideration is neighboring properties and the
Yeah,
beach.
This is the beach that we're looking at, so actually the beach is a well-traveled highway.
I commend you for giving us the night vision or the night view. That's a great tool.
It's a big reduction from the original plan. Sure.
The last diagram from 34. If you want to pull that up.
Maybe you're going south and then to the-
Overall glazing in this position is 21%. for all four of those.
Thank you for all the effort.
Mhm.
You showed us harm.
I'm not sure that we're going to get through past any opinion areas.
Well, just basic questions. Is there something that's even stronger at blocking than this submission?
I think the next step would be to do some type of a tint.
Right. You have thoughts on that? A tint? A tint. It's not always the best thing to look through, but you're also looking at this specific location. thoughts about it too?
I'm not a fan of approving glass. I think it's 67%, but if I think that's.
Okay.
We're lucky to have that, I think.
All right, well, thank you for your work on that. Do you think you're ready to
Yes.
give a decision? Okay. Do you want to take a vote on it?
Sure.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the application for 1 Potato Road with the increased visibility, visible light blocking glass and the screening that the applicant has?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Long, hard struggle.
I appreciate your consideration. May I take this?
Yes. And 2550.
So don't go yet until it's on.
Yep.
Thank you.
Peterson, architect for 625 Edges Lane. I have physical samples also.
Basically, from what I gather, you address the chimneys and also, if I read it correctly, the stair tower was thinned slightly.
We took the recommendation to align the second floor window sills with the adjacent windows. And then we just push up so we just raise the lower window and then flip the sash so that the sash, the meeting bar aligned with the other double elements adjacent to it. So there was a 6-foot reduction and glass.
6 square feet, right?
In
And
the rear,
curtains,
I'm sorry,
and curtains.
and yeah,
That doesn't change the amount of glass, actually, the curtains.
true. That's where, for the next question on the rear, we looked at it and studied it. We felt because it was the bedroom, it is a dormer, which is kind of important for the bedroom. We would like to maintain, we left it as it was on the master bedroom, second floor, rear facing window. That is a dormer. You know, the play height in that room is about 7.5 feet. So the dormer is obviously push it up another foot. And we were hoping to maintain that window size to fill out that dormer. That helps with the headroom in that location. So in that instance, we didn't change the window. There were also 2 very small additions on each mudroom side door where we added a small transom
Right.
just to fill out the head to the casing.
So I'm a little confused. These 2 renderings show a completely different window on the back under the dormer, which is it? This is that,
Yes,
and this is this.
it's partially, I think it's just blocked by this chimney. So what there's a solo window.
So
You don't
there's a
see from
solo
this.
and then.
Yeah, if you look at, I think it's page 8 or 9 on the PDF. Yeah, page 9, sheet 8201.
Unfortunately.
They're not numbered, so it's.
Oh. Maybe back.
On the lower right, the sheet number is 8201.
I see.
So the single window you're looking at.
I
is
see,
the
I got
closet.
it, I've got it. And the chimneys are not this,
The white Lorraine, or Lorraine
no,
white.
the shape of the chimney.
No, no, yeah, it's a much more traditional.
Thank you. Anything else?
It's color.
This a particular color that you're striving for, is that in documentation?
We had, yeah, so we previously, the front door was this color and the shutters were separate.
Right.
We made the front door and the shutter
Same.
this, the trim is this, and the siding.
Is it not or eggshell or
On the,
on the exterior trim?
I think on the front door it was shiny, and shutters, the rest would be more of a matte.
With just a semi-gloss or?
I think the trim should probably say semi-gloss. I can confirm that.
So, oh, sorry. Well, how much actually was this stairwell window reduced
6 square feet.
in glazing? Yes,
Glazing, yeah, in glazing one.
Yeah.
That's the reduction was
But
previously,
how much was it reduced?
yeah, 6 in total.
Okay, thank you.
John, do you want colors, my name on this stuff, or?
You should take a record of ours, which colors and what.
Yeah, all right.
Have the walls finished, and packing it into the record.
We can make a note of those.
I recall this is at least the second time this is for us. I know at least once that I've seen it.
Right.
And I recall a big sticking point for this board the last time around was the mass or the glass mass on the front of the stairwell tower.
Right.
And I appreciate that you reduced that. And just parroting what I said about the earlier application of the code, where it comes to light pollution and light extrusion looks to glare onto neighboring properties, not to public roads. So in this case, I see that we are on a flag lot, we're far back from a public road. So our consideration should turn to the neighboring lands and the possibility of light extrusion onto their properties.
Okay. Yes, oh, no. That's enough. It's the head of his. Thank you. Do you want to read this at the amount of glazing?
I think 22%, right? Roughly that was.
I think that's right. Yeah.
That's the worst case.
22%.
You're good with that?
So it's gonna be first.
Hmm?
It's gonna be first.
Right.
I think last time the other board member we spoke about the fact that we look at the section on A300 or A301, some of those transoms would be partially blocked by the 14 in the lower ceiling porch.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. You ready to vote on that?
Is there solar proposed?
Or, I'm sorry,
Solar?
not as of now, geothermal, I guess, would be in lieu of solar.
Mhm. Do you think you'll do another application for solar?
I'd have to review that, see, we have room, I feel, for the geothermal, I'm not sure in terms of total impact on load. The trade-off will be, but yeah, we do have the rear facing roof, which would be an option.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Ready to go? Yes, yeah. Okay. Make a motion? Is there a motion? for the article, as submitted with the 500 reason? Share that? Okay, second?
Aye.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
With the single left with the border.
If it's all right, we'll keep them, and if you can make a particular note about the colors and get those back into it.
And the finish.
Okay, I'll filter it, okay. All right, the border,
I think we prefer no more than 7.
the front door as
Semi.
That was mine.
Oh, this is yours.
No, that's mine from, with my notes on it. This you can take. if you want.
Thank you. Please speak up, because I'm having trouble.
Okay. Moving on to 416 Hedges Street.
Now the break
Jesse.
with the New York Times.
Yes.
Did you fit each have 11 by 17 copy?
Yes.
Great. So summarizing from our last presentation, we were kind of focusing our efforts on reviewing the north elevation and the amount of glazing that had been revised with the new layout. So talking with the client, we were able to reduce that further and get us closer to the previously approved amount. So on that north elevation on page 3, we actually got down to 982 square feet by introducing a solid portion of wall in that main glass volume that we were also looking at, and the previously approved at 962. I think it's a different package. This is probably our building permit strat. Page 2.
It should be.
Keep cycling forward.
Not this one.
Yeah, this one, page. And there you go.
We're talking about the upper picture, right?
Correct. And the clouded normal in the middle.
Yeah, can you zoom into the figures in the upper right one, left one?
One more time.
Couple more for those of us with aging eyes.
And that also helped reduce our overall percentage down as well, down to 53 now in totality.
What room is this, where this wall has been listed?
So that's centered on the dining room. It's one open space. So living room's on the left, dining rooms in the middle, and then the kitchen's on the right.
And this is facing out to the proposed patio, spa, and swimming pool?
Correct. So on page 1 on the site plan, it's that center volume and it's duplicating the wall on this side as well. And then if you cycle forward, we can actually take a look at the renderings as well. There we go. So this is the approach, both daytime, and then the following slide will be the nighttime shot. And then if you cycle forward one more, this will be the daytime of the rear facade and that center panel that you can see in the middle there behind that column. Both daytime and then nighttime as well on the following slide.
Very good. In the future, night, it's midnight though.
It's
Not late afternoon.
it's difficult to achieve night. We're working on our
Okay.
skills.
Okay. Any further questions on this?
No. Thank you for the effort.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay.
Thank you so much.
And we're up to a demolition on 106 Ahrb Lane. Okay. Did you have any link to architect on this?
No.
That's okay.
Yeah, I had the,
It's just one of those questions I'm
yeah,
supposed
I
to
had one of
ask.
the records.
Okay.
Look up the records for something.
Built one?
1982.
The demo permit mentions that this is a one-story pool house, which I'm having trouble with.
There's an accessory, there's like an accessory structure to the each
Right,
property.
I see it, but it's not one story.
Yeah.
So does that need to be corrected, John?
Yes.
Correct, get the record.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And did this get checked for clear title?
It should before, prior to.
I'm just asking the question. I know it has to be, but sometimes that's slid through. So I'm just asking. if-
So it'll be on the wording of the demo, is what you're saying.
No, I want to know that the applicant provided information that that there was a clear title search. There's not.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
I'm sorry.
It's just one of those things that I've gotten spoke to about before. While we're finding, were there any questions or concerns about the demo?
No.
Okay. Very good.
don't have the mortgage lien search or the mortgage lien search or the
Okay,
mortgagee consent,
okay, let's,
because this is a contract of deed.
right. I
So this
understand.
hasn't closed yet.
Right.
So no permit or such will be issued until we
Until
have
you
those
receive
items.
Okay.
So we can make a conditional on.
Correct.
receipt.
Correct.
You look puzzled.
Okay, so,
I knew that was, I kind of knew that was what was going on, but.
Okay. So we can't approve that. But
It could be
we can approve it
approved
with,
with the condition,
with the conditions.
which would be up to John Woodsman to not issue it until we have those items and our attorney has reviewed those
Okay.
documents.
And just for housekeeping, I highly doubt this is on the list, but the 2017 inventory historic properties, just to make
No,
sure
this
that
is
there's
not
not.
on.
And it was built in
I could tell from the visual of it, but just to double check.
So would you please speak the motion for conditional
Absolutely.
approval?
So move to approve this application conditioned upon receipt of proper title application documents pursuant to 245-73C. All in favor?
All in favor?
Yep.
Aye, yes, okay, very good. Technically, did we have a motion for? Just asking.
So moved.
Second? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. If you have a form to sign on that, you can do that. We'll forward.
Thank you.
Just put in that. On the right side, I said in condition of, okay. Copy, see when he writes the conditions. Okay. Thank you. Moving forward, the construction, 106, there it is.
Which is what.
This would also be conditioned that you get the demo office, right? Okay,
Once that stuff is submitted, we have to come back here maybe for the demolition, or is it just a matter of filing?
I think it's fine, but Sean will.
Filing and review by the village attorney in my office.
We don't have to present it again.
No, you don't have to. You're off the hook.
I did.
Not totally, yeah. All right, if you can start with this.
All right, good evening. My name is Brian Glasser. I'm the architect representing licensing David Dorfman at 106 Ahrb Lane. We also have the builder, Michael Davis, Michael Davis Construction here with us. To get started, the property, just want to go roughly where it's located. It's located on the southern side of Ahrb Lane and 747 feet north of the corner of Daniels and Ahrb. I don't know if I should into the demolition of the other house. But I was going to go through just do that. I don't know if that's
It's
required.
not necessary at this point.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so what we're looking to, what we're proposing, and if you care to go, if you don't mind going to sheet. For everyone, sheet 15. That's front, rendering of the front elevation. So basically, what we're proposing is a shingle style home The chimneys will consist of stucco, natural stucco material with a bluestone cap. The roofing material that we're gonna be using here, and everything that you're seeing now is a weathered look to it. So for the roofing, we were proposing a tapered sawn Alaskan yellow cedar, which would naturally weather out to a light gray tone. The same thing with the siding would be Alaskan yellow cedar, which would be a perfection shingle. The gutters and leaders, we'll be going with a half round gutter and a round leader, lead coated copper. You can see we're kind of going more towards the natural gray tone versus the red, red and gold or reddish, colors. The windows, we're proposing to use a Marvin Ultimate, which is an aluminum clad window. And the color we're going to be running with is a gunmetal, which is a darker gray tone. The trim columns and brackets that we're proposing are going to be a painted gray to match the windows. So that would be a seamless blend. Also, if you go to, if you keep going a few more, you can see the pergola to the right. I think I have a view from the inside of the pergola looking back at the house. There we go. So basically the structure is going to be a similar paint color to the trim on the house and the windows. And then we're going with more of a natural Ipe lattice system that's hung from the inside with which is gonna have a natural growth vegetation coming over the top. So that's
And a television,
what was that?
and a television.
And television, yes, that's the way.
You're aware that there are things in the code about the exterior sound, just to be aware of that. Outdoor speakers and so forth like
Let me bring it up.
that. Initial thoughts on this?
This is the thing.
The height of the larger windows, for example, on page 20, the height of those are
Windows. So, to the center, let me see. Usually on construction. Which one?
Six
6 feet to the center.
Oh, I'm just asking the height.
Oh, the height of them, oh, the actual.
Page 7, you have your different.
They're probably 4 feet tall.
I'm sorry, Tom, you're speaking of
The
the
gable.
south elevation, first floor.
Yeah, I'm speaking about the
First
tall
floor
windows.
fixed and operating floors.
Oh, on the first floor, so the rear elevation.
They're like 8 to 9 feet.
Yeah, they're 8 foot, yeah, 8 foot doors.
Okay.
Based on past conversations of 10 foot being
Right,
frowned upon, so we went to 8 feet,
I appreciate that.
which is consistent with the interior doors and
And
window elevation.
everything seems to have a transom.
No, we don't have any transoms, no transom, just, and there is transoms actually on the north elevation. If you go to sheet 5, there's transoms in a guest bedroom. But the rest, that's just the grill pattern you're seeing.
A grill pattern within the ornament.
Within 8 feet, yeah.
Okay,
But if you look on the upper right hand corner on the first floor, you see a row of transoms with
right.
the guest bedroom.
With the window and everything. And that visual trim on the top is, what's the dimension of that?
The trim on the top.
It's the area that has your subdivisions in that 8-foot opening. It's a virtual. What is it?
On the rear elevation,
Oh, you know, those are just divided light, right?
Divided light in the top of the 8 feet, and what is that dimension?
oh, those are roughly, it's a standard dimension that the manufacturer would come up with. It's usually, it's 1'6" maybe.
So the units, I think he's mentioning south, fixed and operating. Units. He's asking the height of where the divided line begins.
Oh, where the divided line begins,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Yeah, it's
right.
like about 10 inches. Sure.
Yeah, right, so it's probably 8, let's just call it 7 feet.
Okay.
Could I ask why do you need an additional transom on the guest bedroom? None of the other windows have additional transom. Why?
Just because it was northern, it's the northern facing element of the house.
Well, what about at the other end of the house? I don't know what that room is. That's also northern. I don't know what that room is. On the opposite end of the house from the guest bedroom that has the extra transom. It just seems odd to have it on one set of windows and nowhere else in the house.
Yeah, that corner unit right for the guest bedroom. It's only in the guest bedroom.
I understand that. I'm asking why
Oh,
all
because it's
the other
northern.
windows in the house.
Yeah. I was trying to lighten up the volume of that corner by doing that. And I figured because it was northern light.
And the other corner doesn't need lightning. Is that what you're saying?
The other corner on the left-hand side of the
Yes.
house is a garage. I
Oh,
wouldn't
that's
put it-
part of the garage.
Yeah,
I
I
see.
wouldn't put it there.
I see.
I figured it was tucked away, if you look on the site plan as well, it's
Yeah,
tucked
it's
away
not.
from the, it is tucked away from the street.
It's just odd that it's only in
It's
that
a
one window.
Balance, yeah. It was more of an
Seven
internal
windows.
program, yeah.
Are you comfortable with that?
I don't see it all the time in the south,
Mhm.
but it's like me, right?
There are overhangs in 2 positions, not all the way across.
23% on the south.
So these are-
Yeah.
Are these porches second story?
That's correct. So the left of your page, that's a roughly 18 by 18 covered porch. And we did actually wire columns and did, I think we have like 18-inch overhang, so that's pretty recessed. And we also did an apron coming across the center for the great room where the doors are.
Initial thoughts on my part would just be, this seems like a lot down here on the first floor. There was a way to,
23%.
there was a way to cut back on that a little bit.
I thought it would help by having the center area, but they're 3-foot by 8-foot doors with a 5-foot frame around them, plus an inch of trim. That area is recessed further just for helping with light pollution to the neighbors to the side. The one thing I did look at was if you look at the aerial view, which is on sheet 12. I did take into consideration, actually, that's the original. Page 13, sorry. The neighboring properties directly to the south is almost 450 feet away when we roughly scaled that, and it's kind of to like a front yard.
Mhm.
If you see that, it's not in someone's backyard directly, and then the neighbor to the somewhat to the west
it's almost like a side yard, so for privacy reasons, we didn't think it was gonna really, wasn't like someone having a rear yard directly in front of them. And like I said, the other neighbor looks, you know, there's a driveway in the front. And then to the east, we have a tennis court.
Right,
So,
yeah. Yeah, I noticed that, but
yeah,
basically what you're saying is the backyard emanates light across somebody's backyard, but everybody's got light coming out of their backyard perhaps.
Mhm.
Um,
And the house to the west, you're saying is 450 feet,
no, directly to the south, directly
southwest maybe?
south, right to the southwest, that one's like 200.
200.
Yeah, that's the closest house, which is like a side.
What is this room here?
That is a dining area. A breakfast, a living room.
So you determined that this size window was not big enough for that area. It had to be bigger.
Oh, those are fixed panes of glass, whereas the other one is.
Yeah, but they're bigger than the other.
So we're happy, yeah,
I mean, I'm just wondering why you didn't carry this.
so realistically, they're sliders, the way it was actually drawn. There actually is a 4-inch frame around it, and, so it would be less than what you're currently seeing. Just the way it was rendered, it appears, and the way it was drawn, they appear to be like, picture windows have less of a frame. But these would be a door that slides and opens, so you have another 4 feet around it, about 4 inches, sorry. We also thought by adding a pergola behind it would help block, you know, it would be a solid string.
So you're talking more. Yeah. Basically, I think there's concern, looking at page 13. With the light coming out of this area here and the proximity of that to the neighbor there. And if there's a way to maybe reduce that.
The one I was just talking about.
Yeah, it's the same thing that you're talking about. If you could give some thought to that, that might be helpful. I think that's the initial thought at this point, with the proximity to the neighbor. That right bank maybe decrease that a little bit.
What about this?
And then Nick is asking maybe we could have paint samples on that.
Is this enormous parking area right in front of the house?
That's just the term, I think, yeah. Yeah, we have.
Well,
parking
yeah,
on
they'll
that.
park there, believe me. You have a big open area of what amounts to driveway there, people will park. I mean, I know it's not on a main road.
We try to provide the required parking. It's just there.
John, what is front yard in this particular setting?
The front yard here is 60 feet principal. And that turnaround that they have in front of the front door will satisfy our code and allows them to get the front doors drop off all the way. The required parking is located in the outside of the side yard setback on the west, on the eastern side of the house. I might be able to comply.
Okay, thank you. So, skipping to this, which is, as you pointed out, the pergola kind of stands there, but the pergola is not gonna block all the light, I don't think. So that one. Yeah.
I think with the pattern of, it's fairly tight, the placement of the,
No, I understand, but that's also one story, and you're talking about the light emanating from the
yeah.
structure, so.
That's why we were thinking that based on past conversations about having 10 or 12 or 12 doors.
I understand, I'm just asking you to visit that and see if you can pull that back a little bit more on that side where it's closer to the neighbors.
Hold the.
Percentage of glass,
Percentage of
Oh,
glass.
that's the percentage, okay.
especially on the southeast. If you look in the diagram,
Southeast, yeah,
there's
yeah.
a direct correlation with the house and the angle of that house to the angle of that. The two doors that are.
We were considering putting like a panel, maybe like about a foot and a half high. Is that something that the board would view as enough
So
to?
you're saying to raise the.
Because their
sill?
door, that's the problem, their doors that open up, so. We'd have to consider, just because it would be probably custom made, that would be a door, you know, a panel at the bottom of all those elements, so we can still have access in and out. And or we would do windows, that would give us roughly a sill, we wanna keep it fairly low, so it seems a little bit more open to the outside, but.
Yeah, I see which one you prefer, but I think we're trying to knock it down. A few points.
On that particular area.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Just to be sensitive to that. Okay. Any other comments?
Just to skip the paint sample.
Right. Okay, very good. Thank you, Brian. Motion to adjourn, second,
Second.
all those in favor, aye.
This is all.
Right.
How are you?
I am now. So I understand you were giving approval for the change in grade, is that right?
Preliminarily, right, we were allowed to proceed to Ahrb. So
Okay.
Melissa Devitt, the county environmental safety and Ahrb have compliant. I'm also joined with Stephen Lang, who's the architect of record, and Joan Bennett. And we also have Alexandria Cronin from Hollywood Design. Well, this is well.
Okay.
Just to give a little background, this is an existing house built in 1995 on 1.2 acres at the corner of Eric and Daniels. And I'll have Stephen show you.
Okay, good afternoon, board members. Melissa, Mr. John, thank you, Ellie.
You're speaking into the record.
And all the help I can get, there's a whole.
Can you mention your name for the record?
My name is Stephen Wang, I'm the architect of record for 194 Erica's Lane, which we know is right on the corner of Daniels and Erica's.
Right.
I think it's a distinctive house, most people know it, especially with the viewpoint of the turret that's present in the house. What we're looking at is, I feel, a modest addition by extending a porch 8'5" further, enclosing it so it can be all season. And so we go straight to the renderings. I think this is most telling. So if we look at the renderings that proposed on the right, this is the view from Daniels Lane. And what you're looking at to the right is the extension of the porch and enclosing it. Right in the middle, that sort of rounded structure that's existing. This is an existing house, so we're just modifying the existing house. And we want to be sensitive to the house, keeping the shingle style keeping the same mutton windows. I'm going to get into the fenestrations in more detail. And keeping the turret, of course. And that turret's like a pivot point. You've got one wing going along Daniels, one along Erica's. This is the rear yard. But if we just go back to the Daniels Lane view, please, that'd be great. Anyway, so extending the roof, keeping the same roof form. There's a gable end with a hip off it. We're just extending it out. Obviously, that means the chimney is now in the roof itself. We're looking at changing that shingle chimney to a brick chimney. As I move across the fenestration there, when we get to that round room, that's a dining room. We want to change to 6/1. It's presently 6/6. We're looking at the same, by the way, same color for the windows. And I happened to find the original drawings. And in fact, they were all 6/1. So at some point, it got changed to 6/6. Coincidentally, I'm going back to what it was, and I have those drawings here that I can leave you before. Then as you keep going, to the left of that, there's a shed dormer that we want to push back, and it creates that little balcony there to align the railing height, and also to give it more reference to the turret, because it's all pushed back. Yeah, you can zoom in there. And right adjacent to it was a sort of modern skylight stuck on the slope of the roof that we're removing. In essence, we want to clean this up a little bit. We're not bringing out a hatchet. It's more of a massage to clean up the facade. The general theory is we have mutton glass. If you go to the extension, mutton glass with the clear glass doors in between, so that the doors will slide over the mutton glass, and so that porch can be, once you open it up, more like a porch, not a all-season situation, so they can enjoy that in the fine summer days, and that theory carries through. So if we could go then to the rendering on the right. I know that's just a close up, so let's go to the next view, please. Thank you. Okay, this is behind the house. This is not viewed by either Erica's Lane or Daniel's Lane. On the left now, we're going to see the extension. As I said, the principle is the multi-slides go back over the mutton glass, so it'll be nice and clean, and you'll see the mutton glass open insect screens in between, so it sort of has dual purpose. And then adjacent to it's the living room, and to relate to the Hollander landscaping that will follow, that will look better than that rendering, is that the whole house in the back will be opened up, so the inside and the outside and the garden and that natural beauty there can be enjoyed. If you come around to the end where the garage is, you'll see that we have a screen section there that is also added. It's an outdoor shower to be obviously used by the pool and bathroom. That is presently, it will go under an existing overhang there. It's presently a built over there in there that can be removed. And the garage doors at present curved top, and we're just squaring everything off and running lines straight. So let's go to the next elevation, rendering, and then I actually go to the elevations from existing to proposed. We did night views, a lot darker than my predecessor. It was darker night this night, but we took a photo. I think Melissa took a photo in the winter, no foliage, and we rendered into the night. And obviously the biggest addition is that extension on the end, because now it has glazing. Before it was all open. I'm sure there was lighting there when it was all open, but now there's windows. Okay, let's go to the next
Do we have these in the packet?
Yeah. If not, I haven't here. Okay. Maybe we can go to the elevations.
Give a page number.
The 200s. You got the A200. 1, and then we call that. Yeah, just scroll from that one. There you go. Okay. Thank you. So let's start with the elevations on the. Let's see, it's just two screens. here. The elevations there show the top elevation is existing, the bottom elevation is proposed. This is in the back of the house, not visible or not facing any street, it's not visible in the street frontage. And if you look at the top one, there's a whole series of mutton glass units down to a sliding door. You can see the porch on the end as it exists today. If you go to the elevation below, we are extending those down because we want to walk out onto the pool deck. And it fits with the philosophy I just pointed out on the renderings. The sliding door at the bottom goes straight into the kitchen area. This is mostly an interior fit out, by the way. We're reconfiguring the inside, and that has resulted in some reconfiguration of fenestration on the outside, obviously. Then you will see the garage doors squared off and the area that is the outdoor shower. If we could please go to the next elevation. Okay, top existing. If you look to the right, this is the bedroom. You will notice that there's little balconies and so on that on this side and on the street side, which we'll get to in the next view, that we want to remove. We just want to clean all the little attachments off the roof and clean it up. Right below that, you'll see big doors coming out the pool, existing. They're children's bedrooms. We don't want them to get out onto the pool. So we're changing those to windows. And we're trying to be thoughtful on some alignment of those windows, unlike what had happened before. Also, those exterior lights and sconces that is on that elevation will come out. So if you look at the one below, it's calmer and cleaner, and that's really the philosophy of this renovation. It's quite modest. Okay, let's try the next. This is Daniel's. And on Daniel's, looking from Daniel's land, you have the extension on the right. Same philosophy, it's symmetrical, totally symmetrical around. The round room is the dining room right in the middle. Again, 6/1, that's 6/6, back to its original. You see that in the elevation existing above, it has that little skylight, sort of in the slope of the roof to the left of the dining room pitch. Take that all out, clean this all up, carry the railing across. We're going to get to the turret, because the turret is where we're trying to line everything up as well. So the turret's part of the main. Right. Okay, next. Okay, it's looking from Erica's. You look at up above again, it's not really a balcony, it's this little frame with a railing off a dressing room there. But that all comes out, roof goes across. The big windows in the bottom left are actually into the garage, but I want all the windows to look like they're bedrooms or residential, so it doesn't look like a garage from Erica's room. So the sills are boarded up and they're just more proportionate and more equal. The entry is diagonal, like if you took Erica's and Daniel's and went 45 degrees on that corner, you go straight into this house, right in that angle of the turret. So underneath is very dark. In fact, that whole tower is really just a stair hall that connects the bedrooms to the left and it connects to the living room that goes along Daniels. So there's no habitable rooms, no one's sleeping in there, there's no living in there. It's a circulation space.
I understand.
So, I didn't think you were questioning.
No, I'm just,
So in that case, we are looking at aligning all the windows and the fenestration. We're trying to get more light down because very low ceiling when you enter, very dark under the cover, very dark in that entry of that house. To get a little more light down into that. Okay. And this is the turret, so I separated it so you could really see what was going on to that. Okay, want to go to the glazing. Oh, you have questions?
my general observation is that when we get to the turret, it is the main point.
Yeah.
And what you've done is really expanded the amount of glazing in this, which I foresee is going to be sort of like a small lighthouse. And that's my concern about it. I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it, but you've got two public roads that you're basically illuminating with this.
Right.
And so that's my area of concern right now is that would need some more attention and not driving towards more glass, but reducing what you're proposing.
Duly noted.
Why don't you talk about the percentages, John Bennett? Why don't you talk?
Yeah,
about
the percentages are coming up, so we can bring that.
Can I ask another question before you get there? What is behind the second floor of the turret? Is that open space?
Oh, it's a double height space.
Yeah, there's not a room there. You
No
said, I
room,
wanted
no,
to
it's
just
really just
be clear about that.
It's a
Okay.
stair and a little walkway, that's what I'm saying,
Okay.
purely a connector.
Got it.
And, you know, what I see putting there actually is just a tall pendant. I'm not looking at making it Yankee Stadium, because they're going from one to the other. And no one's gonna live there, and there's no light reading there. So,
Understood.
but I understand the point, and we will look at that, thank you. Okay, oh, I need my glasses to see that one.
101. It's GA 100 and GA 101.
As always. Okay. Because the extension in that, I mean, porch in that glazing, it didn't come into any calculation. And now it does. So that's actually what's added the most to it in these calculations. So on the north elevation, I'm looking at with 16% glaze, we're now 25% glaze. That's with the doors coming out onto the roof. It's GA 100. I know you can't read the screen. On the east elevation, it's 23% glazed, but on the east elevations where we're adding the extension, so that takes it to 23%.
Just to note too, the north elevation is the one that's the interior. So that faces the pool, and the east elevation, when you look at the landscape plan, faces over a tennis court, something possible.
Correct. And it will be landscaped in because it's so close to tennis court, you're gonna landscape that whole elevation. If we go to the south elevation, so that's Daniels. So that's one that we'll be looking at. It's 20% glazed, and it goes to 31% because of the extension, which is a big part of it, and obviously the turret is a contributor. I can separate those out. I got the turret. And the west elevation, and this is Erica's length, goes from 18 to 24%. We can show them. Well, are there any more questions? And I will hand it over to Holland. Which does obviously affect some of this. And glazing, but also give you our continuation trying to clean up the property because the pool is on a strange angle. We want to square it, trying to parallel the house away from the neighbor. So
I have another question. Would they consider, your client consider going with a natural material rather than painted white for the kitchen work?
A natural material. I will certainly ask it on him. We were just looking at keeping the same look. I think that's presented.
Nick, as I understand that, that's soffit trim all
Yeah.
fascia, or instead of the typical painted
Right.
white pine, something that's just a, you know, natural stain.
Of cedar.
Okay.
Close to
All
the
right,
other.
okay. Yeah, just wanted to make sure I understand.
It's such a prominent corner there.
It is, that's why we're trying to be a little careful,
Right.
you know.
Dual sided. I think in general, as you said, you cleaned it up quite a bit, but you've also created a bit of a beacon, which is to that acute angle. So it's just a matter of doing it delicately. And we're quite aware of the light transmission issues. So there's a sort of a sweet spot of percentage, especially when it goes over the first floor, because then it sends the light further.
So that could be the solution. First floor is opened up, because it's under dark cover all the way down. You know, I included photographs, and if you look at the photographs, it comes pretty clear. Very clear. You want to go through the landscaping? I know it's not necessarily under your purview, but that ties it together, and you see why we're doing some of this fence.
I don't think that. I mean, I think that the presence of the house is speaking for itself and updating to it. I'm not sure that you're proposing a lot of high landscaping.
Actually, there's some there, the night renderings that we did were based on photographs I took of the existing house. If you look at the landscape plan, it never, that property, they're really doing a little TLC that it's ever gotten. So they actually do have a landscape plan in the front, there are trees, and if you look at the landscape plan.
But it appears that
There are some trees being put in front of along Daniels, but that currently aren't there. So all the landscapes that's right along the house actually isn't there right now. Including those 2 trees. And there's another, actually, if we look at the following page, L1CP.
Yeah. That's the constant. But the tennis court is existing, we're gonna redo it, but it's not moving as a tennis court. That will be screened off. This is all new planting. The trees along Daniels and Erica's, obviously they're existing, and there's sort of a regular pattern of trees all the way through there. Really quite beautiful. The big tree in the corner is a beautiful tree. Obviously that's staying, you know, we want to see.
I can't remember what type of tree is that, the one that's inset on the corner.
It's on the planting one. You've got, on the outside, you've got
It just
cherries
says-
and plums.
The one that's
You
in
know, we
front of
have,
the tower.
we have Ed Holland on the.
Okay.
So when we direct it to Ally, you can take it.
Hi, Ally.
Hi, how is everyone? I'm Ali from Hollander's office. So just to quickly go through our portion of the project, we were brought on board to help make the rear yard accessible. What we're proposing is bringing in the pool and the dining terrace closer to the house. And so this footprint of usable space is more condensed. compared to the existing conditions. The existing footprints for the parking court and the tennis court will remain. And then with the front walk, will be in the same space, but we will just be replacing it. As far as the planting, we will be replanting portions of the property, but keeping the same feel. And we do strive to plant as many native species as possible. The ones that are not, we found do well in this area. The planting along the north side of the property will reinforce the screening to maintain the privacy of the client and also the neighbor. And since we are competing with the winds and the salts coming off of the ocean, as well as the property open to deer, that will also impact our planting decisions. And finally, the trees along the street will remain.
Alan, can you address the planting that's going to be along of the house directly? The new planting that's proposed along the entry drive and along the side, the Daniels side of the house?
With the species of the large.
And the species, we're having trouble reading it off the
The
plan.
large tree.
The large trees.
The large, yes, I believe along the street, those are plums and cherries. I'm not exactly sure the existing tree that's right off of the front door, but I can get that checked. And along the entry walk, we will have a selection of bayberry and evergreen shrubs and some flowering shrubs as well to soften the facade.
But I think they're listing these entry walk plantings at 10 to 12 feet tall. Is that right?
Yes, that's what's
Yes,
on the
that's
plan.
correct.
They're flowering dogwood, yes. There's some boxwood, hydrangea, and inkberry. That's an evergreen.
And those are dogwoods, those are not very opaque. They're Family particular.
Mhm.
I think it's the combination of the two that is on for.
I guess what we're versed to try to manage is the viewing angle and how much light is transferring. It seems that the selection, although pretty, is not screening. It's
Right.
they're delicate deciduous trees that don't have any leaves in the wintertime, so that's what we're concerned.
And you can see the trees that are existing along Erica's and on Daniels actually aren't even, I believe, on our property.
Yeah, do we know what type all those are? I
think
didn't
that's
ask
the
those
same, cherry
Cherries and
plums.
plums.
So when you see the cherry blossom happen in front of that house, it's quite certain.
So that's along the road.
Correct.
We don't know what this big tree in front of
We'll
the,
find out.
We can
Yeah,
find
we'll
out
look at
very
it.
quickly.
or how tall is it?
No, well, I include photographs, so you get a picture. It's a big tree. But if my takeaway, so when I supply it and come back to the board, as it relates to the light from the glazing, I should focus on the turret above the first floor. Should I be focusing on the extension, because that's just an open porch at the end of the day?
Right, I'm not so much concerned about that.
Okay.
The second story glazing is the.
Second story glazing, and then, okay, I think we can address that and get you comfortable.
And we're really
And as for the
focused-
color, if I may ask, just to go back to the color of the fenestration. My client wanted it white. I know that much. I mean, I can go back and ask. I know that's what he wanted. Is that a gating item to the board? Because we were just matching.
I think we'd prefer something that was more toned down from white, preferably natural, but you could present what you like.
Would you consider a paint that's not white,
Yeah, if it's a some tone down,
as opposed to a stain?
just to get like a historic tone.
Okay. And something like the railing, if we had a natural railing, railings like teeth across the front.
Yeah, no, it's quite a bit of
So
detail.
maybe it's a combination, and I'll work with the client. He's very much into architecture and this will be We'll come.
Is that good for you or not?
It's-
He's very much into
Perfect for quality of
That's funny. Just checking.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn now?
What's the next date?
Yes. What's that date?
Next date. 24. Yeah, 20.
Thank you.
You're keeping this stuff?
That is the old one, which was incomplete, so that can go.
Good afternoon.
Albert?
Can you give me a minute?
Sorry.
Just give me a minute.
I'm Dan Thorpe, landscape architect with LaGuardia Design. I'm also here with Russell Riccardi, architect, who designed the pool house in my office, did the site planning, the landscape plan that surrounds the building. So Russell's here, I can just walk through the site plan quickly.
You designed a full house in your office?
No, Russell Riccardi's here.
Just kidding.
We did,
That's nice.
there's just a lot.
It's really nice office.
It's a very fancy office.
But we wanted, I'm speaking first because I just wanted to explain the site a little bit and the siting of there's an existing pool house that's there. And the proposal is to replace that pool house with the building that Russell's designed, which is fairly similar to what they already have. And Russell's here to go over any of the nuance and finer details of the building. The existing pool house, so the property is 69 Farmview Drive. There's an existing one-story house on the property already. The pool house is set behind the existing residence, furthest from. Okay, so surrounding the property, immediately adjacent to the building is a stand of existing Leyland cypress, which is an evergreen. It's almost 30 feet tall. It's quite dense and robust. The pool house itself is set back a couple hundred feet from Farmview Drive. Right along Farmview Drive, there's a series of existing plantings, although deciduous. There's quite a few layers of them between the street and the building. So I guess long story short, it's pretty encapsulated in existing veg. So we're both here to answer any questions about planting, landscape, or building.
So the existing structure looks like it's enclosed at one end and sort of somewhat open at the other end. You're taking it all down.
The house.
Okay.
This original place.
Okay, so the new structure will be relatively fully enclosed?
It's the same exact footprint, same exact height, same exact size. Instead of it being an open screen porch, they are gonna have pocketed glass doors. So it can be enclosed with glass doors, but ostensibly.
Just gives you more
probably
flexibility.
2/3 of the house is now gonna It's all covered, but 2/3 of the house could be closed with sliding glass doors. It's basically, honestly, a programmatic change from it's the same family. Their kids started at 5 when we did the first one, now they're 20.
Okay, so, it looks, maybe I mistook it, but was there solar on something now?
There was solar originally. We are proposing to put it back because the client honestly is not convinced that it's made appreciable difference. Because it, at the time we did this, it was a newish thing that people were doing. It's not big enough for it to make a huge impact. And that's the only solar we got. Originally, we did it to heat, just to heat.
Very good. I really didn't think that this was that much of a complicated application. Did you guys have any questions for that?
It seems fine.
Got a title search and 2017 inventory of historic structures, I doubt it's on.
No, it's not.
Those have all been submitted. Great.
There's no
Well,
title
there's
search
title
on this
search on
because
this.
this is not, it's just a demo of the
Existing,
pool house. So no, we don't do those on this.
and it's the same, in any event, it's the same.
Same owners.
Yeah, they've owned it since probably 2006.
Almost old timers.
Okay, any questions?
It's just bright white, and I know it was bright white, but I'm just thinking aloud that look at image 3, which is
The side yard, yes. It's fresh.
page.
This image is with the doors open, right?
Right,
Yeah.
or semi-open.
Yeah.
Because they actually slide and pocket into, when they're open completely, they slide into pockets.
Okay.
So the intention is most of the time it's completely open as an open floor.
And I know it was white, but it's a new application, so I think that would be my question is, would it be, it looks like the house is mostly shingle
The house is shingle with a shingle roof.
with a white
And we
trim.
were proposing white because it is white.
Mhm.
And a standing seam metal roof, which is more accessory.
Right.
structure like.
Yeah.
Um,
That's my only question is, would they consider a different tone? It's less bright, less.
I don't think that's a difficult suggestion to make.
Okay.
And the only thing we were proposing to do, because it is intended to be open 90% of the time, we were carrying the same shipboard lap siding that's on the outside, inside. So it actually is one continuous finish.
So if they'd be considered,
It
if
would
they were
change the-
considered, natural or, lower, more tuned out color, I think. Right, it's the only issue. The architecture's great.
Can that be a condition for the approval?
Yeah.
Sure. We can do that. They were going white because we said go white.
Right.
Are you, let you know the particular color of the trim that's on the house now?
Some of the trim is, well, the details are like they have blue shutters on the front of the house.
Right.
The front door is blue. The existing windows are white,
Mhm.
and most of the trim is white. It was of that, the front porch, it's got a huge front wraparound porch that's all white. Columns.
Yeah, maybe just an idea that something less than, bright white.
That's an issue.
Okay. Yeah, we could do that to committee too.
Yeah,
If you want.
I'd like to do that.
To do what?
Committee
Determine-
of two,
follow up
rather than
on
bringing
committee
it
of
back
two.
next month. It's just-
I mean, just give you siding.
Unless you have the color now or the idea, if it's natural or.
No, let me ask him.
Okay, yeah.
The only question, just to confirm, because the sliding pocketing doors are being manufactured by Riley,
Mhm.
who made the original doors in the house, so that the pool is here, the house is here, you see them together. The existing doors are white outside,
Mhm.
so we were matching the doors.
Think about it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
See what flexibility you got. So you want to do that with the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have a follow-up to the committee of two, just to review that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Motion.
Is there a motion?
No, I have a mo, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
To adjourn.
Second.
Chairman.
Okay. Very good. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, how are you? For the record, if you state your name.
Sure, Anthony Berman-Block, Anthony Berman-Block, 68 Union Street, Sag Harbor. And I am the architect representing the homeowner, Susan Nago, who I believe is joining us on Zoom.
Hello.
We know if you're ready.
Yes.
Okay, great. So this house, I want to talk first of all a little bit about sort of the broader context of the house in the immediate neighborhood. We're on 11,000 square foot property, which is tiny for Sagaponic. The house is on Bridge Lane. The surrounding house, it's the only structure on the property other than a small shed, which we're removing. The house is completely surrounded by large modern houses, kind of amoeba-like.
Very familiar with it.
Okay. And I'm sure you know the history of the house and the broader property, that this was originally the servants' quarters for the house on the corner of Bridge and
It was
Saginaw.
actually built for Seward's mother.
Yeah.
This is where she lived.
Okay. And there, I think originally there was no central heating or installation, just looking at how the building was built. So it was, I think, purely just
The
a
main
summer.
house still has no central heating on the corner.
Really?
It was moved there in 1882.
Okay. All right. So at any rate, let's get into what we're proposing to do here. So the house is, as far as the superstructure of the house goes, we're not really proposing a whole lot of changes. Basically, in terms of changes to the footprint, it's just squaring off the right cardinal dimensions here. Squaring off the northwest corner, which is the rear corner of the house, and there's a non-historic bay window that we'll be removing to accomplish that. On the second floor, the only proposed change to the building envelope is the addition of a rear dormer. I think what you're looking at there on the screen are the existing elevations. Existing view from Bridge Lane. And I believe the next one should be the proposed view from Bridge Lane. So there you can see just in the corner there where that new dormer is being proposed. As far as the sort of major part of the work though here was triggered by the septic system. There's a very high water table there, and that necessitated lifting. The house is not in a FEMA zone, I should say. The septic system itself, because of the high water table, does necessitate raising the house from 13'6" to 15 feet above sea level for the first floor level. One thing to emphasize here, that the height of the house itself doesn't isn't changing. The ridge height isn't higher relative to the first floor. It's just a change of the elevation of the entire house. So the thought process here was that once we knew we had to raise the house, no matter what, because of the septic system, and knowing that we really have a non-existent rear yard, the idea was to also move the house forward approximately 20 feet closer to Bridge Lane. Another thing that actually moving the house forward does is it allows us to have technically a legal parking area in the back of the house, which because of the small size of the property, we're not presently able to do on the side yard as would normally kind of be the situation. Yeah. And one more thing, we have received the zoning board of appeals approval to move the house forward. They were actually pretty favorable to what we want to do. We passed on the first go around. We have also received the Suffolk County Health Department rate stamp for the proposed septic system. So that's that.
So just out of personal interest, the maple will go?
It will go. Yeah,
Okay.
it has to
Is that
because of the septic
movable?
system.
Or not? Is that movable?
Yeah, I mean, I have to ask an arborist, but
Yeah.
theoretically
Okay.
it would be movable,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Just curious.
Somebody like Charlie Martyr might buy it
Sure.
if he can dig it
Yeah.
properly.
So I did not have any questions for you. I watched this go through the process for a while. Did anybody have any questions?
No.
Comments?
No.
It's been there for a long time. It's one of the more modest and actually Sagaponacky sort of houses. It's very luckily preserved. This change, but hopefully it
Gets new life.
yes. Very good. Is there a motion to
So moved.
second? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Inquire about that tree, though. It's a shame to just kill it. If-
We'll
if
do
there's
that,
an
yeah.
alternative.
I mean, we like the tree too, so if we can maybe even move it somewhere else on the property, that would
In
be
the
great.
back, or as I
Yeah.
said, Charlie Marker or somebody like him might be able to use it elsewhere, at least they won't be here.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Get back to you, have a couple of minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, this is good.
I'm just going to take this. Like that. Yeah.
Russell O'Brien again.
Oh, hello again. How are you? You're back.
I'm here representing Bench Equity. It's a 377 parsonage. It's a flag lot, 4 houses back from parsonage. If you could pull up A101, it's the plan, but it might just be easier to explain. I'm just gonna start with A101, just explain, just to quickly explain it.
I'm sorry, I have to recuse myself from this application. I just previous plan. This is the previous plan, so can't. What's that? Can't, represent what you want.
Then we can't get this application.
Sorry.
You know, it's just,
Um,
we could, I guess, hear it, but you can't make a decision.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
fine.
Please proceed.
Received. Building committee subsequently.
I don't.
We can hear it today, we can hear it.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and hear it? Yes.
It's a plan. See if it's in the
Plan sheet. It's in the packet.
We see it in the package, we don't necessarily have it built in the.
In the computer?
So, or would you give me the benefit of your thoughts so that if I come back again, at least,
Absolutely.
You assume we have thoughts.
all good. The 377 is an existing house.
Yes.
We're actually changing very little of the elevations, but we are changing the door, the sliding doors on the first floor. We are also, and that's what I wanted to say. I know.
We have it in the packet, we don't have it.
It's in the package, we don't have it.
What number is this?
A101, it's the first floor plan.
Yeah, it's about 2/3 of the way
I'll
down.
I'll find it, carry on.
It's just before H.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, go ahead. What's that?
Last I checked, my IQ was really.
Just to walk you through this quickly, and then we'll go to the elevations, but just to give you a sense of what we're doing. You approach the house from the top left corner. The first facade you see, which is facing west, we're not changing at all. The north facade, we're proposing making the glass door solid, so that you actually know that it's the front door. At the moment, it's not 100% different from any of the other windows. So and the existing porch, we're just enclosing with screens. Porch is not changing, roof is not changing. The doors behind it are actually, they are existing glass doors now. We're actually changing those to lift and slide doors so that there is the option of 4 panels completely opening, so the living room flows completely from the living room to the screen porch. The east elevation, which is towards the existing garage, if you look at the plan, we are actually proposing to enclose we're proposing to enclose 84 square feet of space into the heated space. It's currently roofed, so it's not changing the roof line at all. But it is enclosing 84 square feet of new space into the house. There was an existing pool house on the property, which has been demolished. So we're actually net 280 square feet less of coverage and enclosure. That east elevation, there are 3 existing double hung windows, 4 over 1. We're just relocating some of them and adding the ones that will be 4 that are 4 over 1. So not a dramatic change. There are no changes to the second floor windows at all. And then on the pool side, backyard, we're actually in the center of the house. It actually encloses a raised patio. We're changing those doors to also the lift and turn sliders. The ones from the living room mimic the ones on the other side. So they're actually less glass than what's there now. And then if you, again, looking at the plan, what is labeled the sitting room, that room is existing. Those doors exist as sliding doors. We're just changing the lift and slides of 2 panels move over. The biggest change of fenestration is actually the west side of the kitchen. Currently, there's a fireplace that's never used. It doesn't, there is no direct doorway access from the kitchen to the backyard. So we're actually mimicking that glass from the sitting room into the family room. So that's the biggest change in administration on the whole side.
Right, yeah, I didn't have any questions from looking at the application. And I don't foresee an issue except for the fact that, yes, it is true. Fine, I guess.
Except for what, Thomas?
Except that Nick has a history with it,
Oh,
which I
yes,
did
I
not know
understand.
about. So I didn't have any questions. Did you have any questions?
I think it's fine. But, you know, we can't.
Okay, so in this particular case, we adjourn, which I don't think we can move it to committee to.
I would say no. I don't think there's any guidance, particularly on the committee of two, but on the safe side, I would say just adjourn to our next full meeting.
Sorry.
That's July.
July 24th, yes.
Well,
I will be here.
Okay, very good.
So the motion adjourn.
We can't.
You can do a motion to
We can
adjourn.
do a motion to adjourn, yes.
I'll make that.
Okay, I'll second it.
Thank you very
All
much.
in favor, aye.
Okay. And we shall say aye. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jörg Thürner. I'm an architect with Billy Cotton Studio. We're the designers on this project, and I'm here also with Natalie Wong from Ahrb Architects, who's the architect of record on the project. And we're here to present the property owned by LS2 Property Holdings at 610 South Main Street. And if we could pull up the presentation. I'll go through step by step. Again, maybe we can go back one slide.
This is the first one. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, this one, yes. Next page, please. Just to situate the property, we are at 610 South Main Street. I'm sure the board is familiar with the location. It's a side street off of Sac Main Road. Next page, please. This is to give you an overview of the proposed scope of work we want to present today. First of all, we would like to propose the changing of the building facade materials and the roofing in some instances, all to shingles. We'll go into details in a bit. This includes some of the existing metal roofing and also chimney caps. We're replacing all the gutters and rain meters to new material. We're proposing to remove one existing parking lot at the pool house, and we would like to propose a new location for a new parking lot
off of the porch. Furthermore, as part of the facade, reworking of the facade, we're also proposing to replace all fenestration and to do some adjustments to the design of the windows. And also we are proposing a driveway gate at a new location, which you see here in the plan. Again, we'll go into all of this in more details. Along with the driveway gate, we would also like to change the existing pool gates to match the design of the driveway gate. And lastly, we would like to propose a fence around the trash and bike storage area. If we could go to the next slide, please. Is there?
Maybe go to the rendering.
Yes, great, thank you. Here we have in sequence existing photos of the existing condition, and then on the next sheet, what we propose as the new design. So in an effort to soften the view of the house and to make it more aligned with the local vernacular, and to tie the house in with its surroundings, we would like to change, like I said, all of the facade materials and all the roof materials, and also the siding of the chimneys to all be in white cedar shingles. For a simpler and more subdued appearance, more barn-like, I heard earlier. Yeah, just better fitting into the agricultural context. We have two subtle contemporary elements that we add. You can see this here, and I'm going to try this. We're replacing a roof over the entry with a thin metal structure. And we are also proposing maybe we can go to the next. This is the existing rear, and the next image is the proposed rear. And here on the right side, and you'll have a better image later too, is the proposed new pergola sort of added onto the porch there on the right side of the balcony. We propose to have no trims around the windows, again for a more subdued look, and to also make the windows blend more in with the overall facade. The porch, what you can see here is that the porch will also be closed off more than what it is. We'll extend the header down and make turn the post basically into walls to close that off, which will also be helpful in terms of light emittance on that area. If we can go to the next slide. So here, in order to also visualize existing to the new design, these are the slides from the initial application of this building, of the house when it was that was approved by this board, and so we wanted to portray our new design along those views. So the next sheet is the same view, again here with the proposed new materials. One thing to note, and is here that we are proposing unfinished shingles, which will then over time weather to this color gray. And you can see here, I put a sample of the unfinished, unweathered shingles. We'll have a slide later on with more information on the materials to show what they look like.
This is white.
You know what? I think I made a mistake. It's yellow Alaskan. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I was. Okay.
So good catch. Yeah. So here we have the view, which is facing the new driveway. And again, this is towards the neighbor that's 250 feet across on the other side of the tennis court here. You can also see here on the right side that the pergola by the pool house is removed. And let's go to the next slide again. This is a view further up. Again, here you see the existing pergola on the left side by the pool, right there, exactly, thanks. And let's go to the next slide, and you will see it removed there, and instead we have a pergola on the south and right side end of the porch. Next slide, please. This is a view from the access road. Next slide, please. And here again, close matching in view is that elevation. We see a portion of the proposed new gate on the lower left side, and also the fence that we propose to close off and cover up the bike storage and trash storage area. Next slide, please. Let's please skip over these and go to page number 21 right here. Correct, thank you. So here again, bird's eye view, same situation, just to show the various areas, and also again here to show that the roof of both the main house and also the pool house will be shared. Next slide. Just go back again. Next slide, please. So we have produced these nighttime views. A few things we want to point out is one is that we are changing the entry door from a solid to a glass door. But on the other hand, we are closing off, and it's on the right side, basically at the lower end of the gable. There was a porch previously, and we're basically closing that off with it's not a window, it's an opening, but basically that will shield lighting that is part of the exterior entry lighting there. That will be closed off more than what it is now. Next slide, please. This is the view of the back. With the new window design, which doesn't change much on the upper floor, and Natalie will go into the details of what we propose for the window dimensions. And again, we have the covered porch that has more extended walls and headers to kind of shield off lighting. In terms of exterior lighting, we currently show the fixtures that had been approved with the main application of this house. We are open to look into that as an option to reduce exterior glare or light emission. One other thing I do want to point out is that we are also using a glass type that has a low light emittancy, which reduces the light that comes through by 30%. So let's go to page 16 for Ahrb 01414. Oh, sorry. To the windows, not for you.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay, yes.
What was the page number?
A06.
306, so I think, yeah.
Correct.
There. So this is a comparison page in terms of existing glass area versus what we propose. On the right-hand side, it's the so this one should be
306.
after
Towards the front.
after page 13.
Yeah.
You should be able to find it after page 12 and 20, page 12.
The circle line change.
Sorry, I actually moved this after the page 12 and 13 page, so you'll be able to find it earlier in the set.
That's what I mean, more towards the beginning. I know it's not
Maybe it was
enough.
close to the end.
306.
306.
306. Sorry about that. So on the right-hand side of the page, it's the east.
No,
It's
no,
missing
where
the
is that?
page.
Sorry, here, thank you. It was missing. I'm not an idiot, I thank God.
So this is the east elevation of the house, which is the front elevation where you come in at the driveway. So top right-hand corner is the existing elevation of the house, and lower right-hand corner is the proposed. So the main change here is if you look at the volume on the left side of the entry, two longer window. That's actually a stair volume connecting two stories of the house. So instead of two sets of triple glass currently existing, we're proposing two narrow windows, and the width of the windows will correspond with the width of the window of the adjacent volume, so there's more consistency.
Right, what is the height of that unit?
The height is. The height is 17 feet and 8 inches. Since it's connecting two stories.
And the width of this?
I'm sorry.
The width is width.
And the width is 3 foot. I want to make sure it's correct. Yeah. It is 4 feet.
4 feet. Okay.
Sorry, the height is actually 18 feet 1 inch, and the width is 4 feet. And then, as York mentioned, the front entry we're proposing a glass door, and then the transom window, the existing transom windows above two fixed windows next to the entry, those are merged into one window opening adjacent to the entry. There is no change to the window area on the second floor of this side. And then on the left side of the page is the north facade. On the left side of the page is north facade. Upper drawing is existing, lower drawing is proposed. And the only change being proposed here, if you look at on the right-hand side next to the porch, the sliding door on the ground floor, those are the height is being proposed, being changed from 8 feet up to 9'7". So this corresponds with the other sliders height change that we're proposing on the other elevations of the house, which I'll talk about in this page. So the north elevation changes minimal. And next slide. So right side of the page is the west elevation, which is the face of the facade facing the private pool porch of the house. So the main change proposed here is on the ground floor, you can see a series of double sliding glass doors. So those doors are, the height is being raised from 8 feet to 9'7". And then the only change on the second floor is there's one picture window being introduced on the second floor. So, and then on the left.
Combining two existing small.
Combining two existing.
And then on the left side of the drawing is the south elevation. And the only change here is also pertaining to increase in the door sliding forest water height. So again, there's, other than the picture window that I mentioned, there's no change to glass area. And for the pool house, we are only replacing the windows in existing opening. There's no change in glass area of the pool house. So there isn't a glass comparison sheet shown.
Along the left side of the illustration, the window units were what height?
They were 8 feet tall.
8 feet, and you're taking it to 9.7?
That's right.
You're proposing. And then the 4 large panels that mirror what you had before are what height?
Those are, currently,
I'm speaking about the
Yes.
page 307, yeah.
yeah, we are not proposing height change to those units, but the current height current height is 14 foot 5.5. Sorry, 14 foot 5 inches. That's the current height. And we're not changing height.
One other thing to note about the windows is that we're proposing to remove all grills, so these will all be just large, with uninterrupted.
Huge things, yes.
glass. The frames are steel frame, and we propose to paint the same finish as the other metal on the house, other than the gutter, which is that gray that you see right there. That's and we chose that color because it does work well with the existing unweathered shingles, and also will look good with the weathered gray shingles. So this is basically the door, the window frames, the metal pergola, and the metal roof over the entrance. And we and the
And also the
guardrails.
uprights.
Okay. So then, should we go to the pergola? Maybe let's go to the pergola. There's a sheet A421, which is it right here. That's the pergola detail. Again, this is will be on the south side of the porch, an open steel structure painted in this color, in this gray. And we propose to have a retractable canvas shade that we can pull across for shade in the summer. But otherwise, it's an open structure. And there's an existing kitchen, outdoor kitchen area, so it will serve that area. Unless you want to discuss the facade and windows first, we could also go and describe the proposed gate. However, you would rather.
I think we should manage the gate as an existing gate.
No,
Is it a proposed new one?
It's a new
Yeah.
gate. Yeah.
When was do we know approximately when the existing gate was placed?
There
There is none, I don't know.
This is a whole new gate which was added on to this alteration proposal, which struck me a little strange because we usually have gate applications separate. Based on, it's my experience, but
If that's something we can pull it out as a separate, I mean.
I recommend it. I do recommend that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that something we can just do administratively?
Yes.
Yes, okay, we'll do that. Okay, thank you.
Just speaking from my personal thoughts, I really like the broken window. This begins to appear a little industrial, a little too much city, and in your opening conversation, it was to agriculture. As a farmer, that riled me a little bit, but I can only speak for myself, so that's extent. The height of those really large things, I just see that as a lot of light emission at
That's
night.
18 feet, right?
Yes.
That just, I'm surprised that we approved that, to be honest. Maybe I was sick.
Oh, that you're talking about the back towards the pool, that's 14.
Right, but even just the sheer size of that, to be illuminated at night, it just strikes me as,
It's almost twice the height of the patio of the door behind you.
yeah. So to me, it almost become, I realize that very few houses on the Sagaponic side of the pond is going to experience this. But as a municipality who has tried to become more and more aware of light emission, to broadcast that to the community on the west bank of Sag Pond, I think is not that, it's just shooting ourselves in the foot as far as light emission. That's where it is with that. I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it. We haven't really dealt with something like that in several years, anything to that size or height.
I think in general, the change in materials is really great. Trying to change something positive. So I think it's great to have it all shingles, and I think it's subdued as we're saying, and I think it's a very large house. So this in the scale of, if you look at Ahrb 009, in the scale of the house, I understand why you're coming up with such large units, but if you look at if you just could zoom in, Pat, on the units on that structure to the left of the front door. It's a very tall, very large, almost commercial, institutional size piece of glass. If you could keep zooming into just that piece to the left of the front door. So in context of the scale, I understand its percentage and I understand its placement, but what is this? What is the size, width, and height? It looks like about 20 something feet.
Yeah, they're 4 feet
By-
wide.
4 feet by 18 feet.
18. It's just, I just personally can't approve that. And we've gone through glass submissions before where we've asked for rain screens or to break up the glass or to somehow relate that. But if you can imagine that as a mirror conceptually, because it is glass and reflective, it's just I'm working on a house across the pond. I'm sure it would be just a really large distraction for people. So
Would you recommend then, I mean, basically going back to more breakup, what do you think if we work with a sort of a screen to break it up?
yeah, I mean, there's the percentage of glass in general, but then there's also the scale and scope of glass. So when we go to the elevation that covers that, which is A306, if you imagine the window to the left of it is a typical window in scale. So let's say that window is 3'6" by 3'6". It's literally 16 of those windows connected. So something's been abstracted and supersized that I don't think relates. So I appreciate the subtlety of the material change, but somehow I think these very large scale units should be broken down either with rain screens or in size or the number of glass. Those are my comments.
Just so I understand, Ken, your concern is on particular, like those two large 18-foot unit, right? And if we are able to decrease the overall glass area on this facade, without breaking that up, that still wouldn't solve.
Yeah,
your
it's sort of a
concern.
second category. It's if you could imagine this space, you know, it would be a piece that goes all the way to the ridge here by 2, and then look at the size of the other windows and doors. It's just, it isn't relating to its own language here. It's just such a different animal. And the other units to the right of it, I don't know the height of those. It looks like 10 feet.
Those are 10, the two fixed unit right next to the entry, those are 10. The header is at 10 feet tall, but they have a 12-foot, the sill is at 12 inches.
And then the
9 feet.
And then the west elevation, you have 4 units, which are existing. I think in some cases, applicants that have come back to the board in this current period versus the past have found that there's a much heightened scrutiny and sensitivity about this issue. So even an application that may have been approved before may have to be reviewed if you're going to replace it. So what's the scale of the 4 units there on the west elevation?
So
14.5?
so the total
18?
width, the total width of the double glass door is 8 feet.
Mhm.
And the existing height is 8 feet, and it's being proposed to increase to 9'7".
Wait, which?
Are you talking about
Which
The
one?
west, the west elevation proposed.
The large,
Yeah.
the 4 doors, right?
Oh, the
Yeah.
4 doors. The 4 doors are 14 feet tall.
Mhm. And how wide is each of them?
So let me just-
Looks like about 6 or 5.
So the 4 units are 21 feet in total, so, so 5 foot, 5.5. Sorry, can you do
5'3".
5'3" inches for each door.
Yeah, I think those are the main focus of those units, not the architecture, not that. It's really the building in general. But it's just something we're concerned with.
Okay. And
If we were to say we do not touch that, we take that large door out of the scope, is that something would still pose a problem or a question?
Which-
Sorry, the large 4-door unit.
Yeah, I think that's a legal issue. I don't know. John, what would you say?
I don't have any particular.
It's existing.
If it's pre-existing, I see no reason why we should.
If you change
Say
it,
that.
it becomes part of our
Yeah.
jurisdiction, but if you leave it.
Okay. But we'll certainly work with around your concerns for the that stair replacing.
Okay.
None of those were the things that I noticed, especially in front.
And we're separating the gate application, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Should we explain the date to you now, or should we do that in a separate?
It's part of the application now, and until we separate it.
If you'd like to give us a brief.
Sure, we'll give you a
overview.
brief, basically and if you have any feedback right away, that'd be great.
First question is, why do you need a gate? On that quiet little offshoot of a road.
So basically, we are concerned with 2 things. One being safety for children, of visitors, of the clients, the owners, that they are laying out, and this is a part of the house. There's the tennis court right across from it. And so we're afraid for kids to run out uncontrolled and also dogs, pets. So we did take the approach of try to be very simple in the design of the gate, but we did add vertical picket boards just so that it would prohibit like dogs or, to run out. And the other main concern is deer. And we did design
Deer?
Deer,
That
yes, in
won't
terms
keep
of.
deer out.
No, we have the grate, we have a grate on the. So to us, the combination of the grate with the 4-foot gate will be effective at keeping deer out of the property. And the concern there again is.
Can I ask how long Sag Lake Lane is? Thousand feet?
I didn't look at it, I didn't see anything. But again, it's just, I'm just adding up all these.
So the pets and the child situation, I think they would fine.
Is Sag Lake Lane a proper street, or is that the name just given to
It's
the
a
side road?
street, but all of the lots are flag lots. All of
Yeah, I don't think
Sag
They
Lake.
combined all the flag lots into a private road.
Sorry,
They combined all of the flag lots into a private road.
was it accepted into the town?
No, it's still a private road.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's a private, okay.
That's why they have sand paint addresses.
I see.
So I would unfortunately deny the application for the gate at this point.
So you would address.
I don't know, what you feel about it.
Well, that's why I asked the question. I mean, it's a little offshoot of
Yeah, I don't see a performance or issues.
Quiet Road.
I mean, there are also other much more contemporary looking gates and fences on this street, just for reference. So we try to work with, and try to keep
Some
it.
of those were pre-village and some.
Yeah,
of them
right,
were
that's
those-
possible, yeah, I don't know.
I appreciate the concept of the deer, but the deer can still jump through the manual, the walk-through gate. They can still jump over that, because that doesn't extend your metal frame in there. Having watched deer jump over amazing things.
Well, that's the concept behind the cattle grate. I assume.
Yeah. They don't feel sure footing, so they're not gonna jump out.
Okay, so-
Yeah.
Let's just break their legs.
Then you have venison. Okay. I think it would be better to make the separate application on
Yes.
the gate.
So we'll do that,
Lest we run into a divide today.
yeah. Understand.
Okay. So outside of the monster glass issues and so forth, if you can let us know what you, any other things to clarify?
No, I mean, we did talk about materials, also the railing at the balconies.
There's new paving proposed at the front entry.
Right.
Yeah. It's just the box.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
And sorry, so just so I'm 100% aware, and well, it's just two the 18-foot unit on the front facade and then the 14-foot for walls on the.
Anything that's out of scale,
Yeah.
very large class, but you could look at previous applicants who've gone through the process and how they've modified that design.
Right. Thank you very much, I appreciate your feedback.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn? So moved. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
No, you're Mr. Downs.
Yes, you can.
You're 565.
Yeah.
So we don't have anybody representing the findings of fact.
So I can give a little overview.
Yeah.
So this is in regard to the findings of fact of 219-219 Sagapon Homeowners LLC. By way of background, on October 24th of 2022, this board denied the permit application for the gate after reviewing an application on two separate occasions, two separate meetings. Within 30 days, as the code requires, the applicant requested findings of fact, and our office, my office, on behalf of this board, produced the findings of fact timely within 62 days. So the issue here is a gate off of Sag Main Street. And there are, of my understanding, really two separate issues here. First, we were of the mind that because it is on Sag Main Street south of Montauk Highway, the gate is barred just by virtue of the fact that in that district and under the code, I'm looking at 245-49-7C, gates are as of right not allowed in that district. Furthermore, the code gives us multiple criteria that we can look into for the appropriateness of a gate application. And the particular one that we found was not met in this case was that there was no necessity or no demonstration of necessity on behalf of the applicant for the gates and gate posts for the security of the property. So in our answer to the formal findings, or in our findings of fact, rather, the elements that we pointed out were the lack of necessity for security purposes of the property, lack of compatibility with the design criteria that the board is unable to look at, and the fact that the code provisions prohibit driveway gates on Sag Main Street south of Montauk Highway. In their response, the applicant points out that there is allegedly a documented history of security concerns on this property. He provided no substantiation of that aside from a mention that apparently the prior owner and the current owner of this property were in litigation. Other than that, he provided no indication that this property has heightened security concerns. He did not, or he did address overall the compatibility with historic use feature, or the features and the design criteria. He claims that the gate is within the ambit of those concerns or those elements. Applicant does agree that it is a historic district, however. Applicant makes a rather strange argument alleging that there was no quorum participating at that meeting. So just as housekeeping, I'd like to address that last part because I don't believe that that is correct.
You wouldn't have held it if you wouldn't.
Yeah, so
I
for
think
the
he's-
October meeting, I don't find this persuasive at all. His argument. His argument is that there were members who were present at the October meeting who were not present and involved in the August and September discussions, which there's no code provision mandating continuity of the memberships and discussion. And he also claimed that they should have stated on the record they reviewed the prior discussions, making their determination. There's no code provision demanding that. So I don't find that a persuasive argument. You know, I respectfully disagree with the applicant on that. I don't find that persuasive. So really what we are looking at now, under the code, being that he did give a rebuttal to our findings of fact, we have the right to rediscuss this if we would so like. And the points at issue are if the gates are truly necessary for security purposes, if the gates meet our design criteria, and the applicability of the code provision barring driveway gates on Sag Main Street south of Montauk Highway.
What
just, can I ask a question?
Sure.
The fact that this is a spec house and that the actual owners aren't even there yet, how does that weigh into the
We can definitely weigh
reality
that.
of it?
We can definitely weigh that, and in his answer, the applicant rather, I should have specified, he did touch on that.
It doesn't seem as a board that we need to pursue any further conversation. We're not in agreement with the findings and that we're not in agreement with his conclusions, and then that's the end of that. That's all I can say.
We have that same thing with that house, it's just north of the highway.
So in the applicant's answer to our findings of fact at section 9, regardless of applicant's contrary interpretation of the relevant code section, the applicant homeowner submits to the board that they plan to occupy the subject premises with their family starting on or about August 15th of 2023. That's their contention.
So presumably they could reapply if they.
They could reapply, or the alternate, they could appeal this board's decision to the zoning board of appeals. So the buck does not necessarily stop here. It can just go ahead to the zoning board of appeals.
Yeah, let them do that.
It's still on Sag Main Street.
It's on Sag Main Street, and let me just for the sake of the record. So I'm at 245-49 7C. Residential driveway entry gates and or gate posts are prohibited on both the east and west sides of Sag Main Street south of Montauk Highway, as well as portions of various other roads which are in the Sagaponack Historic District.
It's pretty clear.
So this is both in the historic district, correct? And it is on the side of Montauk or Sag Main Street. And our design criteria, there's various different criteria that we can weigh. And one of them, section J, is necessity or absence thereof of the gate and or gate post for security of the property. So if we don't find it convincing that this property has any sort of heightened security risks, then
I think we could keep our position.
so let's do this. If we can just do a quick vote to accept our formal findings of fact.
We accept our original findings of fact.
Or ratify.
Yeah.
And then we will do a vote to continue our sustain our denial of the application.
Yes.
Second. Aye.
Okay. All right.
Last but not least, very patient man.
Luckily, he's applying for a gate.
Come back to follow.
Taking this, or just you?
Not yet. That's all.
Okay.
My name is Dennis Downs. I'm an attorney from Sag Harbor, New York. I represent Theodore and Mary Siegel, 565 Daniels Lane.
It's a 1.6 acre parcel, 70,513 square feet, improved by an existing 2-story and a 1-story dwelling, plus accessory structures, all of which you can see from the site plan that's before you. There is a horseshoe driveway that's existing. It has a pebble driveway with percolation into the ground. The house is set back approximately 80 feet from what is a private road. It's interesting that we're Daniels Lane, what we front on a private road, and our rear lot line is Potato Road.
Right.
So I'm not sure how I got the address Daniels, but you probably know the history of that.
John, do you have any insight on?
Yeah, again, it was actually part of the subdivision. They decided to combine all the flag lots into one access strip. So basically that road will always be inactive, will always be a flag strip according to the code.
I made that assumption, but it's not worth it. But I knew there'd be some history to it. So from the aerial view that we have, you can see that both sides of the property are heavily vegetated, as is Potato Road. Where the horseshoe driveway is, that's all new vegetation, which is going to take time before it fills in. So pretty much the road, the house is, at this point, it's not visible from the neighbors to the sides, but it is visible from across the street or anyone traversing the road.
Yeah.
So the concern that my clients expressed when the trustees were reviewing proposed code to eliminate gates completely in the village was they have young children. They're concerned about them wandering out into the road. They're concerned about animals either going from their property into the road or from the road into their property. So the owner's cameras have shown that people have driven into their property, turned around and left. For apparently no reason. Maybe they just wanted to see the house. We don't know. So they have a security interest, like many, many other people do. As was, I listened to the presentation before the trustees. The majority of those people were all against not having gates. Pretty much for the same reason. They were concerned about their children traveling out into the road or their animals or whatever it may be. So the builder and architect in this case, they designed a set of gates that would meet the code. They're in compliance in every way, shape, or form. You have a picture of what those gates are. My request is that you approve the gates for this house. There, on that road, there are many other gates. And I know you know better than I do, because I'm not a Sagaponic resident. There are gates all over the village. Some are pre-existing. Many of them have been built in the last, say, 10 years.
When I went out to visit this, the owners had, my first visit to the site was that the owners had started replacing the windows without a permit, and I was asked to go out and double check what they were doing because they filled out a application to change it after they had already started the work. In the packet that we received online, it went through that, and that was dated in 21, I think. Is that right, Pat?
Absolutely.
But then we adopted a setback of a certain distance. And the last time we heard this application for these gates, there wasn't even enough room to set them back 40 feet. Is that my recollection?
This is a flag lot.
Right.
It's not a road front. You
Okay.
have to be set back a minimum of 40 feet from a road front. The flag lot does not carry the same burden.
Okay.
I believe they are. Well, we could easily put them at 40 feet.
Well,
There's no problem.
I looked at that, and at the time somebody proposed it, they dropped it because it was such a deep setback.
It's almost to the house. The gates.
No, well, no, the house is 80 feet back from the private road,
Right,
so that would be half the distance.
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Not where it's
But
shown.
I don't believe that's the code, right?
Not on a flat lot.
Not on a flat lot.
You're meeting 40 feet from Daniels.
Right.
Okay, so,
So we would, normally you try to, at least what I've experienced, you try to get two cars that could queue up in the parking, in the driveway before you go through the gate.
right,
And I would propose that here, if you want a greater distance, I believe we can do that.
the presentation was a little bit different the last time. And I'm just listening now.
Yeah, I wasn't present the
No, I
last time. I think
understand,
it was
yeah.
done by the builder.
It
Builder
was,
was trying
I think
to
so.
have it approved.
Yeah, I didn't do the research on that, but the context was, well, you know, we've got pets and so forth, and I'm like, the gate is so far in, what are you gonna do, run a fence back to the gate post so
That's
that,
what you have to do.
yeah. That,
And then you normally put vegetation so it hides the fence and
right, yeah.
makes it nice for everybody.
So the project was dropped at that point, so.
Yes,
so
so we
we're
drew that
looking
in
at
order
it.
to get the permits for the house, yes.
Okay, so I'm open ears to whatever you're saying at this point, but
I know you have an aversion to gates, so it's a little bit difficult to try to convince somebody when they have minds set, so to speak. But anyway, what I would like to do is, since this is only a 3-man board, you normally have a 5-man board. I would like to come back the next time you're sitting and make the presentation to the full board.
okay. That's certainly fine.
There are gates on this private road already.
Yes, yeah. Understood. I don't have any objection to that idea. Does the board wish to express any thoughts on the application while we're here?
I'm not in favor of it, but again, we're only 3 at this point.
Right. Rather than go back with a denial, then we can adjourn it to the next meeting for your request. Yeah, even in this packet, they're explaining all kinds of things for doors and windows and things which were not part of the gate.
No, I'll look into that. Mr. Woods, you have a permit request now or no?
They permitted the changing of the fenestrations on the house. They've also permitted interior renovations, finished basement, rebuilt the pool house, redecked the backyard, or the patio in the backyard. They've done a lot of work.
Is there any open work that needs a permit?
I don't believe so. I think they passed their last final inspection, and I think we closed. Pat, did we CC it out?
I know we did 3. I think you're right.
Okay.
I'll speak to the builder and make sure that there's nothing else happening without a permit.
Okay.
I mean, the clients would have relied on the builder to get a permit for
As
us.
far as I know, the permits are all closed out, and all the work that was done on the property was permitted. It has the coolest child swing in a house that I've ever seen.
Okay, so let's adjourn this as you request. And yeah. Is there a motion? Second? All those in favor? Aye. Is that a unanimous? Okay.
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. No, yes.
24th,
Yes.
Um,
Good evening. Thank you.
Very good, thank you very much, thank you. Committee of 2, gentlemen, don't look at 2, it's first season in July.
It's,
Horse season in July.
yes, it is for season, but I can do it.
All right.
Do we have anything? We don't have anything right now, do we?
Just
No, we do
just the
pay
one
the
thing,
dollars,
yeah. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second? You want a second that?
Second.
All right, that's all right. All those in favor, aye. Anything, and recording, kick them out, so to speak. Thank you for your.
Yes, thank you.